Hello, I'm NP. So when it comes to The Crew from 2014, I must admit that I have a very strange relationship with this game. On the paper, it's not even my thing. So it's basically an online, massively multiplayer, Need for Speed, underground-ish experience that was all about grinding and these retarded rubber band races when your opponents keep the same distance from you regardless of your speed. So even if you crash out, you can win the race, and even if you don't crash out, you don't win the race. So it's... I never enjoyed the actual racing in these games. But customizing cars was sort of cool. So for the only fun factor that's customizing, I did all the grinding that was intended to be fun, the game, literally. But for me, it wasn't. When it comes to racing, I enjoyed much more these ruthless games like Sports Car GT or GTR series from Simbin. So I was quite much into sim racing even back then. Please don't get me wrong, I'm not into all of this elitist shit. I will never say things like, you are not a human being if you haven't spent $3,000 on iRacing, or get the most expensive Fanatec DD wheel, or die. No, I just feel surviving a stage in BeamNG Drive, where even the road itself can kill you with the speed of 60, more rewarding than playing bumper cars, basically around 400 in Need for Speed, or The Crew for the matter. So honestly, I didn't buy The Crew because of its absolutely typical good guy, bad guy, cars, cops storyline that was already boring to me around Need for Speed Most Wanted, and most definitely I didn't buy The Crew because of its game modes, its challenges, or racing with people online who were basically doing bumper cars. Sorry if you play The Crew and you don't play this way, but any time I tried to play online, it was like a wreckfest. So as strange as it sounds, I didn't buy The Crew for the game itself. I played it a lot because of one certain feature and one certain mode. A massive 1:36 scale map of the United States. An actually pretty detailed map of 5,000 square kilometers and 10,000 kilometers of roads, changing weather, day-night cycles, and a lot of sceneries. It's a little bit similar to GTA 5 by the mean that if you haven't been to LA, GTA 5 can still give you a taste of how it feels. So despite the fact that The Crew has no game mode that I enjoy, it can absolutely give you the sensation of how crossing a big country feels. So it can provide a quite special driving experience, like driving for hours and stumbling upon some interesting sights. So this sort of exploration and touring basically was my game in The Crew. The feature of being able to drive long distances became very important for me when my driving license became suspended 4 years ago because of health issues. At times, quite harsh problems with short-term memory. Back in time, it was possible that these issues stay, so I will not be able to drive on a public road anymore. I can remember when I came home with the diagnosis. But I've always been a car guy, so my first thing, even before taking off the shoes, was just ordering a force feedback wheel online. First I started to play games like Assetto Corsa, Dirt Rally 2, AMS, Race Room, or some of my old favorites like GTR 2 or GT Legends. But all of them are about circuit racing or rally, but none of them have open roads. Well, The Crew has. So all the sims helped for me to become a much better technical driver by the time I got my driving license back. These simulators have a pretty awesome physical modeling, but they are not capable of simulating simple everyday driving scenarios. Simple things, really. Think of driving 20 kilometers and trying to return to your starting position, or try to find your destination without a map, or find locations with no GPS. So these simple everyday things with no stable short-term memory, well, these are very, very difficult. So around the beginning I became just lost all the time, but things started to improve after medication. So by the time I could drive 100 kilometers safely and return in The Crew, then I was able to do it in the real life as well. So until you have a problem like this, you just take everything granted. You know, all the simple skills that enable you to do these everyday things. But as soon as something fails, then you realize that how precious your memory is, for example. So I used this massive map in The Crew to improve and to check my condition. So it was the first reason why I played this game. The second reason is riding bikes. I had a little 500 ccm Honda, and my most favorite thing with it was to run random trips. You know, just choosing one road and checking what is around the end. Sometimes these roads ended after a couple of kilometers, but sometimes they run for 100. So I don't have this Honda anymore, and I have some issues with my spine. So even if I can do it, it's not recommended. So the last time I actually rode a motorbike was around 2005. So riding a bike is, of course, pretty far from the real experience in the sim, but the sensation of these open road trips. I think The Crew nailed it quite well. So most of my playtime with The Crew, I guess, is riding around in a bike on this massive map. So my first game inside The Crew was these go to a place and return memory exercises. The second was exploring the map on a bike. And the third was cannonball runs. You know, when during the pandemic and empty roads, 3 guys crossed the continent, the USA, in less than 26 hours. I thought, wow, I will try it in this game. And from that point, it became my game in The Crew. Coast-to-coast time attack in freedrive challenge mode. So, despite the fact that I enjoy racing sims, and I'm not really into multiplayer gaming, still I had a lot of fun with Crew, that is a massively multiplayer online arcade driving game. So, let's switch to 2024, because this review was created somewhere around 2023, around 1 year ago. It was put in the box because I had other things to do and other reviews that Chris made. Okay, to sum things up in very, very short. Somewhere around later last year, Ubisoft, the host of The Crew, announced that it will stop the game somewhere around the 1st of April 2024. It can happen because this game doesn't include some single-player or offline mode. It works only online, and the servers will be shut down. Well, as a matter of fact, according to this old review, you can understand that I like this game pretty much. So I will miss this game pretty much. I think it's great for what it is, and also I preferred this one to the second I mean the crew too, so I will miss it. So, because of the reason that I think it was a remarkable game, and it will be decommissioned for sure in 2 months, I just set a little challenge for myself to say goodbye to this game. Meaning, I will run my 10 most favorite cannonball routes. Usually these are coast-to-coast races, just like the real Cannonball Challenge is. I guess the shortest is around 20 minutes and the longest is around 2 hours. I will use 2 of my most favorite cars and 2 of my most favorite bikes. So it's 4 vehicles against each other on 10 long routes. Well, I'm not sure that I will be able to finish all the races by the time the game becomes shut down, but I try to do it. I try to make it into a series, and because the time is short, it's very, very short. 2 months for something like this is not enough. But, well, this is the challenge part. Well, because the crew and me, well, we don't have much time left. So, instead of making it a no contact or no crash challenge, there's no time for that. If I crash, I crash. Still, I try to run it clean as possible and reward clean runs the way I played this game for years. So I set a point system that you can see on the screen. So it will be some sort of championship between cars and bikes. And cars versus bikes. So what else? Yeah, I will include the codes of all the maps in the video description below. So if you wish to beat my times, you can do it up until 1st of April. Well, man, 2 months, not much. My first priority is to finish these races. I'm not even sure that I can do it, so maybe the videos edited and released will come out after this game died. Also, I will make a video about the whole situation, Ubisoft just switching off servers and, this you don't own games, so get used to it sort of thing. Well, I can't believe that they just said this. That sucks. So, I'm just go and try to run these races. So sorry for this rushed ending. So see you somewhere in time, and goodbye, the crew.